You're listening to Plants and Politics with Gina Bonanno-Lemos. If you're ready to hear the truth about both sides of the aisle, what's really going on in America, and how big money interests prevent change to keep you sick, broke, and desperate, then play on. Hey everyone, this is Gina with Plants and Politics. Today I want to talk about something that's a little bit heavy, but not talked about in the news. And it really pisses me off. It concerns me why it's not talked about in the news. So I want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and his relationship to Trump and how it may have been, in my opinion, the reason why Bill Barr, the Attorney General, just recently tried to force out Jeffrey Berman, who was the prosecutor for the Southern District of New York. So for those of you who don't know, last Friday evening, Bill Barr sent out a press release saying that the prosecutor for the Southern District of New York, which is Jeffrey Berman, that he had submitted his resignation. Well, within a short period of time, Jeffrey Berman put out his own press release saying, no, I didn't. So clearly Bill Barr lied, and they were trying to force Jeffrey Berman out. So speculation has swirled. Since that occurred, he has stepped down. He did secure that an agreement that his successor would be his deputy rather than one of Donald Trump's picks. So people have surmised and guessed at what the reasoning is, right? So people have said, oh, could it be because he prosecuted Michael Cohen? Could it be because he's investigating Rudy Giuliani? Is it because they're investigating Deutsche Bank? Well, yeah, I mean, Deutsche Bank is a good guess. I would say that's one of the top reasons, because Trump definitely doesn't want his relationship with Deutsche Bank uncovered. That Deutsche Bank, for those of you who don't know this, Deutsche Bank has been one of the biggest lenders to Trump and his companies. They have lent him, I believe, either tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, even after all of his bankruptcies that he filed and when no other lender would lend to him. So there is a lot of suspicion surrounding these agreements and these loans, and also why Trump hasn't had to pay them back. I mean, Trump has owed money to a lot of banks, and he sued the banks and then refused to pay them. So why any lender would step up and take that on with that kind of risk is questionable. There's also relationships between Deutsche Bank and the Russian government and their state-run banks. So there's a lot of suspicion surrounding that. Nothing has come to a head yet because a lot of this stuff is hidden. So no one has brought out anything concrete, but it is very suspicious. So that is one consideration. However, the fact that Trump would do this so close to an election, right? We're in June. The election is, 5 months away, less than 5 months away. The fact that he would fire this prosecutor right now, and it did come out that Trump did fire him because initially Trump tried to distance himself, tried to say that he had nothing to do with it, but apparently Attorney General Barr was not on the same page. Apparently they didn't have a conference call first to get their story straight, because Attorney General Barr, in a statement, said that this was Trump's doing. And of course, it had to be Trump's doing because Barr doesn't have the authority to fire Jeffrey Berman himself. So it had to come from the president. He's the only one with the legal authority to fire Jeffrey Berman. So whether or not Barr confirmed it, it had to have come from Trump. There's no other way for that to go down. Now, there's also suspicion that Trump is trying to help out the Turkish president, Erdogan. There were some investigations going on there in the Southern District of New York that involved the Turkish government or Turkish nationals. To be honest, I haven't looked into all the details on that yet, but that is a consideration. But one thing that no one talks about, which just drives me insane, is the fact that Jeffrey Epstein, who was a known pedophile, he was found dead in his cell last August, which anyone who knows about his case could have called it, would have known that he was going to end up dead before he made it to trial, could tell you that this man has dirt on everyone. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein, for anyone listening who maybe has been hiding under a rock and doesn't yet know, Jeffrey Epstein was accused of and suspected of and pretty much known for running a multinational, massive child sex trafficking ring. So he had homes in New York and in Florida. Who does that sound like? He had an island that he owned where it was basically a lot of the crimes took place. However, what most people don't understand and realize is that he trafficked girls all over the world. Many of these crimes took place in his home in New York, in his home in Florida. He had women who would go out and seek out girls who were either from troubled homes or had some sort of other issues going on. Many were runaways, and they would entice them in. They were attractive girls, young, some as young as 12 and 13 years old, I've read. All underage, though. And they would entice them in with promises of a modeling career, an acting career. Some of them just needed to make extra money, and they would tell them, hey, do you want to come and give this older guy a massage? He's willing to pay you $100, $200, whatever the case may be. So his case involves a lot of famous people. In fact, it's the reason why he was given a sweetheart deal by Alex Acosta. Okay, so Alex Acosta was a prosecutor at the time that one of the cases went to court. He was given basically a slap on the wrist. So rather than child trafficking, what Alex Acosta agreed to was a deal with Jeffrey Epstein that he would get 13 months in jail, which is unbelievable. Rather than facing prosecution for child sex trafficking, which is exactly what he was doing, and trafficking of minors, or anything of that nature, what he faced was one count of soliciting prostitution, which is complete and utter nonsense because, as we all know, children cannot give consent. So a child cannot be a prostitute. Children cannot give consent to sex. So these girls were forced to perform these acts or coerced. And it is rape. It is child rape. It is child prostitute or child trafficking. And it should have been prosecuted as such. They had dozens of witnesses. They had dozens of victims that were willing to speak on the record, that were willing to come forward. And Alex Acosta did something completely unusual and illegal, found to be illegal since then, in that he agreed to take this plea deal, or he agreed to provide this plea deal to Epstein without talking with the victims first. So there are laws in place in our country that make it a requirement that prosecutors talk with the victims first and make them aware of any plea deal that they plan to offer, so that the victims can step up and say, no, I'm not on board with that. I will not agree to it. In this case, they did not do that. So they violated the victim's rights, and that is undisputed. That has been confirmed in a court of law. On top of that, like I said, he only got 13 months, but to make matters even worse, it wasn't even 13 months in prison. So he was given this unbelievable deal where he was allowed to leave the jail every single day because, in court they said, oh, he has to go to work. Now, mind you, it's never been proven what he actually does for work. The guy was disgustingly filthy rich, and no one has ever really determined where his money came from. We all know where his money came from. Let's just be clear. We know that he got money for trafficking these children to these disgusting men and women. And yes, by all accounts, it was men and women, but primarily men. And then I fully believe, and everything I've read indicates, that he made even more money by blackmailing the pedophiles who took part in this child trafficking ring. That appears to be where the bulk of his money came from. Now, he had a very close co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, I believe is her name, or Ghislaine Maxwell. I forget how you pronounce her name, and I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize. But she is just running around. She is out there on the loose. She was very much involved with coercing these girls to come to his properties. She would go out and find young girls who would then go out and find young girls. She took part in some of the abuse itself. She videotaped some of the abuse, according to accounts. And she should also be buried under a prison. But she is out right now jet setting, apparently moving from wealthy person's home to wealthy person's home, staying with them, and probably most likely because she has the goods on them. She is blackmailing them to keep quiet. And as long as they give her a place to stay and she can avoid the authorities, she won't out them. She won't throw them under the bus and turn them in. So the whole thing is vile. It is filthy. It is heinous. It is the most horrific, disgusting crap that you've ever seen. If you want to learn more about it in detail, you can go watch the Netflix documentary that was just produced. The name of the Netflix documentary is called Filthy Rich. It's actually Jeffrey Epstein, and then the subtitle is Filthy Rich. So in any case, back to why I believe his case is the reason why they wanted to get rid of Jeffrey Berman. The Epstein case was being investigated because so many of the crimes took place in New York. It has been reported that the Southern District of New York was investigating the crimes that they can investigate that fall within their jurisdiction, that they may be working with other jurisdictions and sharing information. And I believe that it got too close to home, because what many people still don't realize, and it just blows my freaking mind, Donald Trump was accused by one of Epstein's alleged victims. So she is known as Katie, is what they call her. She was 13 years old when she allegedly was beaten and raped by Donald Trump on numerous occasions. Now, this is according to court documents that she filed. A lot has been made out of the way she filed the court documents, so It's my understanding she filed 3 different times. The first time she tried to file on her own without an attorney, and she filed the documents incorrectly. So the judge threw it out because she didn't know what she was doing. Obviously, she didn't have an attorney. So he threw it out because it was not filed correctly. He did not throw it out because there was no basis for the case. The second case she filed with a friend who was an attorney, but he was, by my understanding, a patent attorney. So not a criminal attorney. He didn't necessarily know, again, how to file it and what to do, what to ask for. Apparently, because of the statute of limitations, you can't ask for the same charges that you would if it was within the statute of limitations. So, for example, you can't say, I want to bring charges against this person, take them to court, and send them to prison. Unfortunately, because the statute of limitations has run out, he can't face jail time for those crimes, which is unbelievable. I cannot believe how we treat sexual assault victims in this country, that we do not value their lives, their pain, their trauma, how it affects them throughout the rest of their life. For the sexual assault victim, the pain and trauma lasts a lifetime in many cases. And that's what most people don't understand. It's not done and over with. You carry that pain, the shame, the fear, everything else for the rest of your life, and it affects every part of your life, every relationship you have. So it needs to be taken more seriously. It needs to come with a massive punishment. And we need to get rid of these ridiculous rules around statute of limitations, because most girls don't even realize that what happened to them was abuse and was illegal until they're older, and many times not until they have children of their own. And then they understand exactly how young they really were. Because let's face it, we've all been 13, 14, 15. We think we're old. We think that we know what's going on, and we think we understand the world. It's not until we get older, we have kids of our own, until we have some experience under our belt, that we really understand how truly young we were. So this girl accused Donald Trump. I happen to have spoken with her final attorney. So the second case was also thrown out because they asked for jail time. You cannot ask for jail time. The only thing you can ask for after the statute of limitations has run out is for financial compensation, unfortunately. This is where a lot of cases get a bad rap, because people point to it and say, oh, see, she's a gold digger. She just wants money. Well, no, that's the only thing you can ask for. That's your only form of restitution. That's your only form of justice. So even if it's just $1, you have to ask for some sort of financial restitution, some sort of financial judgment against the person. So the third and final case was filed by Lisa Bloom. Now, Lisa Bloom has her own issues that have come up more recently. I'm not going to speak on that. I don't know all the circumstances surrounding why she handled the other case with Weinstein the way that she did. What I do know is that Lisa Bloom is a fellow vegan. We have seen each other at various events because we're both vegan. I spoke with her in December of 2016 about the case. We happened to be at the same event. I knew that the case had just been dropped and that she was the attorney. So I approached her and I asked her, what is going on? And is there any hope that your client will come forward and file the case again and take Donald Trump to court over this? She told me that her client was afraid for her life, that she had received numerous death threats, not just against her, but also against her family, and that she was too afraid to come forward again. She expressed regret over it as well, but that was that. She was not going to re-up the case. Now, keep in mind, a judge reviewed the case. A judge had reviewed it, and the judge had set a hearing date. So there was enough evidence, there was enough information in the case and in the filing that the judge felt that it was appropriate to move forward. You can look this up. I believe The Guardian reported on this around the time of the election, so maybe October, November, and the headline, if I remember correctly, said something about court date set for child rape case against Trump, something to that effect. So you can Google it and find it. The court documents are also available if you want to read her exact allegations on Scribd. It's a platform where you can load documents that you want to share with people. So it's spelled, for anybody who doesn't know, SCRIB''D. If you just search Epstein Trump rape, you should find it. It should come up. Again, these are allegations. I don't know for a fact, but I cannot believe that mainstream media has refused to report on this. Now, we know ABC refused to run the story about Weinstein because of their own crap. NBC refused to report on the Epstein case. I mean, all of these media channels, for some reason, try to minimize or hide these massive sexual assault cases. And I find it infuriating and disgusting, and it's complete and utter bullshit. So what is the reason that no one has brought this to light? When I heard that the Epstein case was being investigated, the first thought I had was, it's going to get shut down. Because there are so many famous people that have been implicated, whose names have been swirling around as being associated with him. And I'm talking about on both sides of the aisle. I don't play politics when it comes to child rape. I don't use children and their pain and their abuse as a political football or tool. And anyone who does is disgusting. These children have been violated in heinous ways. Their lives have been destroyed. Many are grown women who still carry the pain and trauma to this day. And if you are going to say that Bill Clinton was at the island, as I've heard ad nauseum, throw him under the prison, bury him under the prison. I don't give two shits about Bill Clinton. Let me make that clear. I don't give a damn. I believe the man is a pig, and that's an insult to pigs because they're intelligent, loving, incredible animals. He is a vile criminal and most likely raped women and harmed children too. I care that he's getting away with these crimes. But guess what? I also care about Trump. And he did the same damn thing, according to this girl who actually filed a lawsuit. Where are all of the women who supposedly were victimized by Bill Clinton? I'm not saying they don't exist, but none have filed cases. None have gone to an attorney and filed a case. Okay, so stop with the political games and understand this girl not only has her own account of what happened, she has a witness. So I encourage all of you to go and read the filing, the court filing, because she testified in a deposition under oath. She gave a sworn deposition accounting for everything that happened to her. And according to her, this occurred at Jeffrey Epstein's New York apartment. On top of that, she has a witness who is also did not want to be named, but she gave also a sworn deposition stating that it was her job to go out and find these girls, that she was the one who approached Katie, or whatever her real name is, that she approached Katie, that she lured her back to Jeffrey Epstein's quote unquote parties with the promise of a modeling and or acting career. This is what we have heard over and over and over again from all of the victims. They all tell the same stories, and they don't know each other. The majority of them are complete strangers. So their stories ring true. Now, she claims that she attended multiple parties at Jeffrey Epstein's, that there were many men there, one of which she claims was Donald Trump. She claims, as you will read in her sworn deposition, that he tied her to a bed at 13 years old, that he beat her, and then he raped her. She also claims that he made mention of another girl who she had met at another party who went by the name of Maria. She claims that Trump threatened her and her family and said, if you don't want to disappear like Maria did, you'll keep your mouth shut, or something to that effect. So she was terrified. So she told no one at the time that I recall. She may have told friends, she may have told, I don't know who, but she did not report it to the authorities. So I believe that Jeffrey Berman and the Southern District of New York were getting too damn close to all, not just Trump, but all of the pedophiles who took part in this child trafficking ring. And I believe that that is why he was removed. Now, Trump has tried to install someone who was very close to Deutsche Bank, or very involved, I should say, with Deutsche Bank, who acted on their behalf in the past, and who is a Trump loyalist. Whether or not he's able to do that, time will tell. We'll see. As of right now, Jeffrey Berman's successor is going to be his deputy. I am hoping and praying that whatever the reason, that they safeguard the evidence, that they pass it on to others who can follow up, so that even if Trump does get his way and he does install a loyalist, this stuff doesn't get buried again. Because make no mistake, this lives on beyond Jeffrey Epstein. Even though he was found dead in his cell, and I fully believe that it was murder and it was not suicide, I said even before it happened that someone was going to take him out, because he would have sung like a bird, because he faced life in prison and then some for all of his crimes. So that guy would sing like a canary and throw everyone under the bus. So I fully believe that he was murdered. I don't believe it was just one person. I believe that it was a lot of famous and wealthy, well-connected, and very powerful people who all came together and said, we got to do something about this. That's just my opinion, guys. I believe this has something to do with why Jeffrey Berman was removed. Again, that is just my suspicion, but it makes sense, and it is something that would destroy many lives if the truth ever comes out, and really this ball of yarn is ever untangled and we find out exactly who all took part in this. Keep in mind too, something I should have mentioned is that Alan Dershowitz was one of Jeffrey Epstein's attorneys. So he actually defended him in his court case. And then since then, it's come out that Dershowitz went to Jeffrey Epstein's place in Miami and got a quote unquote massage, but he claims that he kept his pants on. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I don't know that anybody buys it, but it would make sense why longtime Democrat Alan Dershowitz, who I believe even contributed to the Clintons, would then step up and be such a hardcore Trump supporter and back him and defend him no matter what. It's all tied together. Anybody who claims that it's not is either being willfully ignorant or disingenuous, because it's so blatantly obvious. So this is not a conspiracy theory. These things happen. These girls were victimized. We need to get to the bottom of it. The fact that it's been blocked, that this guy got such a slap on the wrist, is unreal. So it's just sickening. It's unbelievable. It's one of the most vile stories I've ever heard. And it just shows that we need a massive overhaul when it comes to sexual crimes in this country. I mean, when you get 10 years in prison for tax evasion, but you get 13 months where you basically only have to check in at night, when you have literally trafficked thousands of girls all over the world to tens of thousands of disgusting, vile pedophiles, there is something seriously wrong in our country, and our values really need to be reevaluated. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I fully believe that that played a part in why Jeffrey Berman was pushed out this past weekend. So please, as always, guys, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, because there are so many people who are really completely unaware of this case even existing against Trump, and that he has been accused of pedophilia. So spread the word. Take care, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.